Okay, we are live. We are coming live and we are late. We're about 4 minutes late. And hopefully we'll have a clean audio because we did a double boot. And so hopefully that'll work. Lance is in the house. We are live. We're coming live. Okay, so Jaden's in the house, Lance is in the house, Stig's in the house, Leon's in the house, R. Wags is in the house, Mustang Will's in the house, a bunch of folks hanging out, holding down the fort while we appear late. And hey, click the thumbs up, folks. Don't forget to click the thumbs up on the video. I rarely ask for you all to do that. I keep forgetting, but that is a thing with YouTube. That is a thing. And we're going to talk about tool watches, folks. We're going to talk about tool watches and my definition of tool watches. And by the way, I'm wearing a Gitman Brothers shirt, and it's summertime, so my wrist is at its maximum size, about 7.5 inches. And this is a perfect example where this cuff is so tight that I can barely get the 002 under it. Much less would I be able to get the 231 under it. And so there you go. Now, fortunately, the 002 can ride below the bone and is still comfortable. It's still very comfortable. I can bend my wrist. I can do everything I need to do. So that is a benefit of that particular watch being comfortable even when it's worn further down on the wrist, which I kind of have to do when I have a really tight cuff like this one. Now, the tight cuffs do look better in my opinion. Optically, they look better. I don't really like a cuff with a lot of slack in it. I do like them snug, but this is kind of taking things a little bit too far. A little bit too snug, but hey, looks all right. So there you go. Gitman Brothers shirt. Most normal people that don't have Popeye forearms can easily wear these shirts, and you're not going to have this problem. This is a size 16, and it's designed for a normal human that has a size 16 neck and normal size arms and so forth, so it would normally fit fine. And no, I'm not going to go to the expense of having all my shirts custom made because I can deal with this. I'm dealing with it right now. Most of my shirts aren't this tight. There's a few of them that are really tight. One has French cuffs, and it's literally too tight for me to wear. And so that one I just roll up the sleeves. I just give up on. So those that are too tight, just roll up the sleeves, and that works. Okay, so Blue's in the house. Okay, Mustang Will, you're a lucky man. Congrats on that snowflake. Okay, let's see a wrist roll on the snowflake. Oh, let me see, what did I miss here in the comments? My gosh, there's a lot of comments in here. Let me catch up. Wrench Gang is doing well despite the existence of Tudor watches. Tudor watches are their stifle favorite. I hope not. Lance is in the house. Mustang Will, how are your new GS watches? Oh, Carlos is calling in. Excellent, because I have a question for Carlos. I have a security question for Carlos. So here comes Carlos. All right, let me cut to him. We're looking at absolute darkness. Can you hear me, my friend? I hear no audio, Carlos. I hear no audio. We have darkness and we have no audio. Testing 1, 2. How come I can't hear audio? Carlos, you might need to call back. I hear no audio from you. No audio from Carlos. So we'll cut back to main camera until he gets that sorted out. We have darkness, but no, and the phone is moving around all over the place, but we've got no audio from Carlos. I don't think it's something wrong on my end. I think, wait. How come I hear no audio? Carlos, you're probably going to have to call back. All right. I'm going to hang up on Carlos, and hopefully he will call back. Because I do have a question for Carlos also. Okay, so while he's figuring that out, figuring out his audio, we will check in here. Let's see. Doing great. 14 days, and the snowflake is 1.5 seconds fast. No complaints. Whoa, that is good. 231 is dead on after 7 days. It looks like Mustang Will may have gotten another great 231, almost as good as my 231. That is going to be good news. That is going to be good news because all spring drives are not created equal. Some are more accurate than others. Saw a review of the Tudor North Flag last night. I wouldn't wish that watch on my worst enemy, Jaden. At least it doesn't have the ugly Tudor hands like the Black Bay. Okay. Yes, our wags. And we must not hurt Durr's feeling, but I just cannot stand that hour hand on the Tudors. I don't know why they did that. I know they did. You had to dumb it down so that people would buy the Rolex. Super tool watches, huh? Is that, the watches that are very tool-like, or the description of the owner? That could be a good question. Our Wags is in the house. Craig probably got a call from his buddy who calls him at Showtime frequently. Oh, okay, yeah. He actually did call a few minutes before we were to go live, but I can't blame the delay on that. I was actually a little bit behind schedule. So let's see here. And the lovely Briefit Dance is saying hello. She pops in the chat just long enough so that I'll give her a mention and show her website. She's nobody's dummy. She wasn't born yesterday. Eduardo's in the house. Let's see. My definition of a tool-wearing watch is Archie. Uh-oh. I know the show will be good. I went ahead and gave you a thumbs up. Don't let me down. There you go. All right, there you go. Okay, we'll try to live up to it. Our Wags in the house. Let's see. Blue has a fantastic watch also, so there's that. Briefit Dance says definitely a thumbs up. And let's see here. I'm sorry, but tight cuff looks just like a fat chick wearing a black thong while wearing white transparent tight pants. It just stands out. Okay, sent a link to a stunning Omega. What do you guys think? Do you like tight kind of cuffs that are a little bit on the tight? Shirt cuffs we're talking about now. A little bit on the tight side, or do you like them loose? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. What you guys think about that. I could actually have somebody move the button over. There's probably a little bit of room to move the button over and make them. We could probably make these a little bit looser, but oh well. It is what it is. They can't move them over much. I just look, there's not that much space there. Okay. Can't call in today. Been busy, but I can send you a pic of the stunner if you want. Okay, perfect. Okay, here's Carlos. Hopefully we'll have audio this time. Okay, we have audio. Okay.
¡Viva España! ¡Lo, lo, 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 lo! ¡Que viva España! ¡Lo, lo, 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 lo!
They're partying.
¡Que viva España! ¡Lo, lo, 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 lo!
It looks like you're having a fun time. It's pretty dark though. We can't see much. I don't think I'm going to be able to ask Carlos the question.
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, I know. I can imagine. It sounds like you're having a good time. So I probably will have to ask the question of Carlos another time because he's in the middle of a major party. Doesn't surprise me.
Que viva España. Lo, 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 lo. Que lo, lo, lo. Que viva España. Lo,
Okay,
lo,
all right.
lo,
We're
lo,
gonna
lo, lo, lo.
we're gonna let you
España
go,
es
Carlos,
la
and let you
mejor.
finish
Pa, pa,
partying.
pa, 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 pa,
All right.
pa.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Only here, live TV. All right. So yeah, there's the 231 stunner on the bench, and R-Wags makes a good comment. He says he likes the sleeves that are adjustable, that have two buttons and you can adjust them. That's a good point. Let's see. I think Carlos was better with no sound, says Tom. Drunk Spanish National Carlos has entered the chat. Carlos tossed back a few. I guess he did. Carlos, the boss, is getting loose. I wish we could have seen. I wish they'd had a little more light so we could see them. Sounds like Carlos has had one too many margaritas. And no, I don't think he was social distancing. I think they were pretty much on top of each other there, which is okay. Let's see. Carlos is wearing his Rolex with a great scotch and a good cigar. The man is living the good life. Actually, I think he has the Doxa on vacation. I think he's wearing the Doxa. So there's that. Let's see now. What else were we talking about? Okay, well, let's get on the topic. Let's get the topic out of the way. Tool watches, okay? Here's my take on the ideal tool watch. The ideal tool watch should be perfect for whatever the person is doing. So if you're in a sporting situation and you're in a situation where the watch could get some heavy use and where visibility is important, when of course it needs to be waterproof, you might be in the water, it might take shocks, things like that, then I think something like the 231 is the perfect utility watch because it's super comfortable on wrist. It is extremely legible. The titanium that is used in its construction is more corrosion resistant than the 904L stainless that Rolex uses. And the movement is more robust than the movement that Rolex uses and can go longer without a service, probably upwards to 30, 40 years. A Rolex can easily go 20 years without servicing. This will probably go double that. And of course, more accurate than the Rolex. So for all those reasons, I think that would be the ideal tool watch for heavy use, heavy sporting use. Now, if you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're always dressed in a suit, that is your uniform, if you will, a suit, then I think it's extremely hard to beat the 002. I think the 002 would be the perfect tool watch in that scenario because obviously its native environment is a suit type of a situation. Let's try to get that in focus. There we go. And of course, for a lot of the similar reasons that I just mentioned, from a standpoint of being extremely robust, this has the spring drive movement, which is extremely robust. This has a deployant clasp, which makes it extremely practical for use every day. And of course, the elegance factor is off the chart. Legibility is really good because of the white dial and because of the size, 38.5 mils. So it's very, very legible for what it is, right? Obviously, it's not as legible as the 231, but for a dress watch, this is very legible. So I think that in that type of a environment, so again, somebody dressed in a suit most of the time, then the 002 could possibly be the perfect tool watch. So we could be looking at the two perfect tool watches depending on the use case. Again, a heavy sport watch situation, sporting situation, the 231, and the model is SBGA231. That would probably be the top of the heap. And then, of course, for dress and for somebody that is an attorney or they're, like I say, an accountant, some profession where you're generally dressed in a suit, then there you go. So what do you think? What do you think about that? That poor Carlos with his Doxa. Sin U50 is my choice. It's a tank. Okay, Kevin D. Eduardo Craig, the email sent you contains rare blue brush dial oyster petrol. Okay, we're going to take a look at it. Let's see. Triforce Rich sent a few pics of the watch, Craig. It came too tight, so I had to take off the bracelet. Have to wait until Tuesday for the screwdriver to come. Best leather strap I've used. Oh, so you put the deployant on there. Oh, okay. All right, let's get these emails up here. Let's get caught up on these amazing emails. Okay, oh wow, we've got several emails here. Okay, we're going to do the Aqua Terra. Okay, that is pretty interesting. We're going to study that a moment. We're going to take a look here. It's interesting the way the minute hand has the arrow on it. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look through these photos here. See, the problem I have with a lot of these Omegas is they're a little bit on the thick side, and I think that one would be no exception. I think it would be a little bit on the thick side to use as an all-arounder. Now, to use as a straight-up sport watch, okay, but, you know, it doesn't appear to have lume, so it's missing some of the things that you would want on a sport watch. And it looks like it has no micro adjustments. So I'm not so sure about that, but the price is not horrendous. The price is not horrendous. Okay, so let's move on and see what we got next. Okay, Eduardo sent this. Okay, and he's thinking about that for a tool watch. Now you can see that bracelet already has some issues there. Looks like it might have some issues. Not a hateful looking watch though. Not a hateful looking watch. But I'll tell you, the older Rolexes, I guess it's because I owned them back in the day and I wore them and so on. I've just kind of moved on. You know, they're okay, but they're really not that well made. As you know, the bracelets, a lot of them had hollow end links, and this is no exception. They just had a lot of issues, some of them. So I've kind of moved on, if you will. You know, a lot of them only have 48-hour power reserves. I mean, there's just some issues. Okay, so let's take a look here. Oh. Okay, so he sent some more photos here. I do like that bezel, that engine turn bezel, and I do like the dial. It's interesting there, the bracelet doesn't look that bad. But the other side must have had some issues. There's the date. Dates are always cool. Always cool. Yeah, an older date. I mean, it's got some wear you can see there on the crown. Obviously, that watch has been, you know, it's been around, right? And so the issue you have there is if it does have issues and you have to have it serviced, it could be a little bit dicey. And let's take a look here. Okay, and here is the Grand Seiko Stunner. Here is the Grand Seiko Stunner. The so is it Soho? How do you pronounce that? Okay, and there it is on the strap. Try to get those photos closer. Try to get the camera closer so we see more watch and not as much around the watch. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. I think that might be it for photos for now. Okay, that's it for now for photos. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. The time check here real quick. Tim Masso. I doubt it's the real Tim. But anyway, somebody says it's Tim Masso. Tim here. Grand Seiko is better than Rolex. Brian Goffberg, and I respect your work. You'd make an excellent addition to the Watchbox team. That's great. That's great. There you go. So why don't you let me know the check's in the mail, right? I'll keep an eye out for that check. That's a good one. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Would be a sneaky troll if not. Craig, what do you think of the full yellow gold sub? I like the pre-ceramic case. I don't like the super case. But the older case, I think that would be a good way to go. If you found one in really nice shape, absolutely, that could be a way to go. I would prefer an all-gold GMT because it's going to be thinner. Okay, so it'd be more of an all-arounder. The subs are a little bit thicker than the GMT, so that's why I went with GMT. So for my rotation watch when I was rotating with a date. But see, if you had a gold GMT with a, let's say a Jubilee bracelet on it, that could be an all-arounder. That could be a one-watch solution, I think. I think it could. It's a little more towards the sporty side than the dress side. Obviously, a date just would be even more versatile from a standpoint of dress. But you could push a GMT, an all-gold GMT, into that use case. Need the mag on there. Okay. Sorry, guys. For some reason, I was not able to talk. Okay. Carlos in the house. Carlos, I have it. Next time we get a chance to actually have a conversation, I have a question for you about two-factor authentication, okay? It's recommended that we all use two-factor authentication, of course, instead of SMS as your backup for your various accounts, right? So don't use SMS because people can, clone your phone. They can SIM swap or whatever they do, get control of your phone, and then you're screwed, right? So you want to use like the Google Authenticator app for your two-factor authentication, right? But the question I had was, what happens if you lose your phone? How do you then reset everything up on a new phone? How does that whole procedure work? And what if you lose your phone, so you don't have access to your two-factor authentication, and then somebody else SIM swaps and therefore has access to your phone, and then they somehow talk whatever organization it is into sending you a text message because you've lost your Google Authenticator. You've lost access to your Google Authenticator. Seems like to me that defeats the whole purpose of having the Google Authenticator set up in the first place. So that's kind of a roundabout way of saying I have a question about the Google Authenticator for two-factor authentication. Sounds like there could be some holes in that whole situation, especially if you lost your phone. Let's see. Craig, thoughts on 36mm Rolex Oyster Petrol white dial, no date? Oh, I love them. I love them. Absolutely. If you want to send a picture of a particular watch, I'd be happy to look. But yeah, I think they're great. We talked about those the other day. Triforce Richest in the house. The finishing on the GS competes leagues ahead of Rolex or Omega, at least the case and dial, not the bracelet. I think the bracelets are pretty good. I like the 5-link bracelet. I prefer that bracelet over the Oyster bracelet. I think it looks way better than the Oyster bracelet. It gives you a little bit of bling, but it's still real sporty looking. It's kind of almost like a cross between a Jubilee and an Oyster, that type of thing. I think that's 10 times better looking bracelet than a Rolex Oyster bracelet. I don't think it trumps a Rolex Jubilee. Jubilee is like stunning. Jubilee is amazing. And of course the President bracelet is amazing. But I think it trumps the Oyster. Okay, let's see here. JLC ultra thin for a dress watch. Okay, but I don't think that would be as robust, though, for example, as the 002. I don't think it would be as durable. Of course, it would not be as accurate. Triforce Rich, so far, accuracy is spot on. I'm really hoping I got a good one. It sounds like you did. It sounds like you did. How's the comfort on wrist, Triforce Rich? Stig's in the house. Carlos, beware of those Rijo drunk chaps. They are not good company for... Okay. Sent you pictures of a date from my birth years. Been thinking about it a lot. My bracelet is a 3-link like the Rolex. Oh, yeah. And that's still every bit as good as a Rolex Oyster. I mean, it's comparable. Now, you can, people can say that they don't like the Clasp because it doesn't have micro adjustments and all that, but I mean, those are trade-offs, right? It's trim on the wrist, so there's that benefit. Okay, here's a Rolex Day-Date. That's a stunner. I mean, it's a stunner. Now, it does look like it has some stretch in that bracelet potentially, so you got to be careful about that, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty sharp. The case looks pretty good from that picture. Let's see here. Absolutely. All right, we're making progress. But we will have to see. I'll give you a report after a week or so where to give honest opinions. The comfort is superb. The GS leather is the best I've ever used by a long shot. The point clasp is very thick, though. Because mine's not bad. Mine's not bad. I think those clasps are a little different than the one that mine uses. But I wouldn't call it overly thick. I think it's pretty good. But maybe you'll get a little bit more used to that after you wear it some, Triforce Rich. Let's see. I have two, and make sure that you've got it threaded properly, because I didn't have mine threaded properly, and that makes it a lot thicker, right? I had mine where it was coming out through here and down. I mean, it was like we were just in a hurry, Steve and I, and neither one of us knew what we were doing, and it wasn't set up right, and so that was a fail. But anyway, once I got it right, that made it a lot better. So if you look here close, the leather was coming through this opening here and then over the opening, right? Instead of under it. And so that was just a total setup fail, right? Let's see here. I have two iPhones that are connected. That is the closest I come to security, but things are changing day to day. Okay, Craig, what are your thoughts on the Blaupon 50 Fathoms? They've got several different models. I think some of them are kind of interesting, but I mean, for a dive watch, I would definitely rather have the 231 than any of those. I mean, it's just a far superior watch in my opinion. So yeah. Trevor says, LOL, I screwed it up in the beginning but fixed it after. I watched your video to make sure. Oh, so you had it threaded the wrong way too? At first? Wow. That's pretty amazing if we both did the same thing. Is yours the same? Is your clasp the same configuration as this one? Does it look like this? I think they're a little bit different, the stainless steel ones. And I think the stainless steel ones are made in Japan. This one's made in Italy. I think they're a little different. Okay, what else? We're only a half an hour into the show and already dragging a little bit here. What else was I going to say? I don't remember. By the way, Steve is going to try to do at least one show this week. Hopefully two. If he does do a show, please show some support and encourage him, because we'd like him to do shows more often. And with encouragement, he's more likely to do that. And by the way, there are starting to be some supply issues. He's been doing well as far as selling the watches, but he's having problems getting them. So just a heads up for anybody that's been on the fence and thinking about getting something, there could be some shortages incoming. It's pretty much the same button steel. I think yours is more refined and higher quality, to be honest. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a significantly higher price point, so that could be the case. That could absolutely be the case. Let me show you a close-up of mine. Let me operate it. So there you go. Okay. Let's see. Craig, was it hard to switch your 002 deployant class? You mean to switch the straps on it? I took my time, and it was a little bit tricky, but I do have a video here on the channel of me doing that, so you might want to check that out. But if I can do it, pretty much anybody can do it. So it is doable. You just need to have a strap tool with the fine point. I have a pretty high quality one. I don't know if it's made in Germany or maybe it's made in Switzerland. Anyway, you get yourself a high quality strap tool with the fine point on it, and you can do it. Just take your time. The thing is, I had to be real careful to try not to scratch the gold, right? But probably the harder part was probably releasing it from the case. That I really had to take my time to make sure I didn't scratch the case, right? But I was successful. I did it without scratching it. Just take your time. Some people tape some stuff off. I didn't do that, but I did shoot a video of me doing it. It's on the channel here. Let's see. Just search Grand Seiko deployant clasp or something like that. Let me see. Let me do a test search on here just to see what will trigger it coming up. I'm going to pretend like I'm John Q. Public. Go into the site, and I'll do a search and see if it'll come up. Just give me a second here. So I'm just searching deployant. See if it comes up. Okay, here we go. So there's a couple of videos. Wow, there's a bunch of them that come up with deployant. Okay, HD custom straps review. This might be the one. I'm not sure. Deployant alligator says, do they last? Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. It might be this one, where I might show changing it there.
Customized insurance, you gotta see to believe.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is Corona Hard Seltzer. 0 grams carbs, 0 grams sugars, 90 calories.
these things out.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is
and
the
I'll
one.
be the first
so
one
this is the one you
to
want to look for.
let you know.
This is going to
there
show
you go.
me
There's the
actually
strap
doing it,
installed,
doing the whole thing.
because these are custom made to these specifications. But they're going to be able to save some money, and they're going to be able to get the strap faster and more customized as far as the length and different colors and different. So that's the one you want to look for, the HD Straps Custom. Okay, so that gives you what the title is, and that's going to show me doing the whole thing. And some of the shots my hand's kind of blocking, but there's enough in there that you're going to see actually what I did. There's enough detail that you'll see it. Not a big problem. I would not want to change my strap like every other day. No. I'm going to change the strap when this wears out. I'll put on another one, and that's going to be my routine. I'm not going to just routinely change the strap. You do risk scratching up that gold if you're not careful. So I will not do it any more often than I have to. That's the deal on that. Congrats on GS strap. Okay. If Craig had a day date and a Submariner, he surely would have to raise security, but with the GS, there's no danger because the bad guys do not have a clue and do not watch this channel. Exactly. I'm under the radar as far as the bad guys. The bad guys don't know. I sent an email of a coach. Okay, Kyle, we'll take a look. When changing straps, I don't mind scratching the area within the lugs. There you go. Yeah, if you do it slow, if you take your time, I was able to do it without any scratches. So it's doable without any scratches, and I kind of show how to do that. You're always kind of pushing away from the gold very carefully, and don't push towards the gold, because if it slips, that's too late. So yeah, if you're just careful and you're always going away from the gold, and even if you're pushing towards the gold, as long as you're very careful and you don't overshoot, right, and hit that gold, I think you're going to be okay. Let's see. Which one did you get? Try the 427 or 429? Cheetown says, hey, Craig. Yes, NATO straps are great to change daily. I have 30 and change them. Yeah, so that way you don't have to fool with the pins or anything. Exactly. Craig, how difficult is your Mac Pro to open up and clean or replace parts? They're very easy to open. Very, very easy to open. Just have a lever and then take the side off. And it all works very easy. Everything worked great. I don't use mine much anymore. It's in the guest suite. But Brianna will be using it when she comes. But I don't use it that much anymore. It's just a backup. Let's see, Triforce Switch. That dial on the 427 is... That dial on the 427 is blinding, though. It's very bright silver dial that borderlines white at times. It literally blinded me yesterday when the strong sun hit me. So much for AR coating. It's got AR coating on the underside, right? Craig, have you given the faux pay bracelet any more thought? Yes, I have. I'm thinking about it. I'm absolutely thinking about it. It's called the light version for a reason. It is a flashing light dial. Okay. All right, let's check the motor coach. Okay. It's loading in. I'll show it once it loads in. Okay. All right, so this is a 2005 Prevost and $389,000. That's all the money. Let's see. Let's take a look at the photos. Okay. So it's a dual slide out. Now, of course, Country Coach is out of business, so you're not going to take it to them for any servicing on the coach work that they did. Of course, the chassis work would be serviced by Prevost. Oh, so is it a triple slide? Does it have? Did I see a slide on the passenger side? No, there's a driver's side. I guess everything's on the driver's side. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's no passenger side slide. So yeah, it's a dual slide. Okay. A lot of outside pictures. Okay, here we get inside. Nice looking inside. I would probably rather have hardwood floors throughout, but the tile's not the end of the world. It's just not, it's a little warmer, right, to have the hardwood floors. If you had some nice cherry floors, something like that. But it is what it is. Nice looking coach. Automotive style paint on the cabinetry. See, if I was going to get a newer coach and spend that kind of money, I would probably be tempted to find a Marathon because it's going to be also a very high quality coach and they're still in business. And you could take it to one of their locations and they could service. And when I say service it, I'm talking about the modifications part of it, the house part of it, if you will. All the stuff that the converter does, right? That whole interior, all of that stuff, right? They could service that very easily because they did the coach and they'll have all the records on it and everything, right? See, Country Coach is out of business, so, you don't have anything to go on, right? It's like an orphan bus. And so if I was going to spend that kind of money, I would probably want something from a converter that is still in business, like Marathon, for example, or Liberty. I believe Liberty's still in business. Liberty is amazing because a lot of their coaches came with the bus air, the over-the-road air. I doubt this coach has over-the-road air. And that's, to me, a big plus. So that's what you find if you find a Liberty. A lot of the Liberties have the Prevost over-the-road air conditioning. So it's something to think about. Something to think about, and it's something that you could not add. I mean, it comes from the factory. So, yeah, it would be insanely expensive to add it, if not impossible. Let's see. What else do we have here? Mike's in the house. Congrats on the SoCo. Tim Mosso did a review of that watch today. I haven't watched it yet. Looking forward to your I'm gonna watch that too. I noticed he did that. And I watched the Watchbox live stream with the Grand Seiko guy, with Joe Kirk. And I watched him talk about the 002 very favorably. The 002 was featured in there prominently. Cheetown says, Craig, do these motor coaches have auxiliary power units to run accessories? They usually have large generators. A lot of times the generator is made by PowerTech, which is a company out of Florida that makes commercial grade gen sets. And generally a lot of the generators that you'll find in these high-end coaches are going to be PowerTech generators. I had a PowerTech in my Bluebird Wander Lodge, a 7 kW one. These are going to have even more powerful units than that. These are going to have 17 kW or 20 or 24 kW. They will certainly have a generator on board that can power everything in the coach. Absolutely. So, yeah. Let's see. Even 005 in real shines to you like a pretty girl smile. Yeah, the 005 is a stunner. When it catches the light, that blue dial is a stunner. Imagine Lance pulling up to the prom in that and stepping out with Bree. There you go. That might happen. But here's the thing. What I will probably get, I'll probably get one without slides, and I'll probably get a riveted coach because they don't come delaminated. These newer coaches, they got rid of the rivets, and so they literally used glue to glue the stainless steel panels on the side of the bus. And after like 10 years, the glue starts coming loose, right? And so that has to all be redone at vast cost. And it's like, why do that? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? It's sort of like Rolex coming out with the super case, right? I mean, why would you shoot yourself in the foot like that? So yeah, let me see if I have the. I think I've got the Liberty here. Here's the Liberty for comparison's sake. Here's a pre-service Liberty XL, and this is a 1997 model. So this will have rivets. Anything up to the year 2000 had rivets, right? And this will have no slide outs. So again, nothing to fail there. None of the hydraulics, none of the seals to fail. And of course, it's a lot less money, $140,000. But this is a gorgeous bus. Whoops. It's a gorgeous bus, if you ask me. And I think would be much easier to maintain and much easier to run. And it's got Prevost over-the-road air, which is a huge, huge thing. And I like the wood floors in this. I like the look of the coach. I've had my eye on this one for a while. And it's hard for them to sell these because somebody needs all cash, right? You can't get a loan on a coach this old, not for that kind of money. You got to pretty much pay cash, and so that limits down the buyer pool, right? But I think it's a good-looking coach, and I think it would be very serviceable. And again, as far as I know, Liberty Coach is still in business, and so you could take it literally to Liberty, and they could fix whatever inside might give trouble or whatever. They would know what the hell they're doing because they did it all, right? That's a big plus. They're going to have the records on the coach and know where all the wiring is and all that kind of stuff. They come with all kinds of books and all that. You have that, the diagrams and all that. So they usually come with all that material, but still, there's nothing like having the people that actually did it work on it, right? And see, there's how you can tell it's got the over-the-road air. See that huge compressor in the bottom right-hand of the engine compartment? That huge compressor? I mean, I'm not exaggerating. That thing is huge. That's the compressor for the Prevost over-the-road air conditioning. If you see a motor coach that has that compressor, then you know you've got over-the-road air. There you go. Let's see. Sent you a photo of a stunning JLC dress watch. We will look at it. Let's see. Sent a photo. Okay. Craig, do you know if there are any motor coaches that have solar panels on the roofs? Oh, yeah. A lot of them do that. A lot of them put solar panels up there. Especially these days because the panels have gotten a lot more efficient. And so you can get a lot more out of them. And so that's a fairly common thing. Are you buying that 1997? I've had my eye on it. Not buying it yet because I still have some issues I need to resolve with my business so that I'm free to travel, if you will. Right now I'm kind of stuck here, kind of running things. But hopefully I will remedy that and get somebody running things so that I can travel again. And then I will lock and load on a coach. No sense buying a coach now until I'm free to use it again. As you know, I had a problem a couple of years ago where I had somebody that was kind of running the business and they were stealing from me, so I had to let them go. And so I've been kind of doing their job in the meantime. And then, of course, the virus thing hit and all that. And so even less reason to be traveling around. And so, yeah, once I get all those things sorted out, there are always coaches like this around that you can find. They're not super hard to find. But you want to find one that has been garage kept, that's in really, really nice condition, because you don't want to be in the business of restoring an old worn out bus. That dog ain't gonna hunt. That ain't gonna hunt. Let's see. Throw a hard body offer of $109,000 cash. Yeah, if you make an offer like that on that coach, they might hit you with the keys and title. So don't make a cash offer on a coach like that unless you're ready to take delivery, because you might be surprised, because this one's been for sale for quite a while, I'm telling you. They ain't easy to sell. But hey, for a buyer like me, that's good. That's good that they're not easy to sell. Because if I buy one, chances are I won't be selling it for a long time. This will be my last coach. The next coach I buy, I'm planning on it being my last motor coach. And I will use it until I'm not able to use it anymore. So, and hopefully that'll be a while. Let's see. Craig, in LA, I see a lot of homeless people living out of old RVs, but never a motor coach. Well, yeah, the motor coaches are pretty expensive, I think, for them to do that. Most in Venice are in vans or on pavement. Craig, what sort of motor coach would you get with a budget of $1 million? Well, again, I would rather have one of these older coaches, because I like the way they're built. Some of those newer ones with all the slide outs and stuff, I mean, when those seals fell, I mean, that's like a $10,000 or $15,000 job. They've got to pull out the whole slide out. They got to have a forklift and everything, and it's just a major ordeal. Some of those, and like the air doors and stuff, they can fail. I'd rather have a manual door. I'd rather have a door that has a little lever you pull up and you slide the door closed. I mean, I don't need to push a button and have the air close it, right? I kind of like things to be a little more practical. And some of the ones that are like in the late 90s that I just showed you, the riveted coach, some of those tend to be a little bit more practical and a little bit easier to service and stuff like that. And so I would kind of lean towards something like that, and then take the rest of the money and put it into something else, right? Maybe buy some Bitcoin with it, or set it aside for travel, other fees associated with travel. Yeah, I wouldn't put it all in a coach. Now, you could spend $1 million and get a really nice Prevost coach. I would get a Liberty, because it's more likely to have the over-the-road air. You could certainly spend $1 million on one, and you could get one with at least 2 slide outs. Some of them have 3 or 4 slide outs. And the other problem with slide outs that a lot of people don't seem to understand with these coaches is that adds to the weight of the coach. And what happens is you start getting up towards the GVW of the coach, depending on all the stuff that's inside and everything, and, the granite floors and all that stuff adds weight, right? And you can get to the point where you can't carry as much gear because the coach is too heavy on the front axle. The front axles have a certain weight rating, right? The rear axles are kind of okay because of the tag axle and all that. You can get a lot of weight on the back part of the coach. Of course, that's where the engine is and everything. But the problem is the front axles. There's only 2 tires up front there, folks, and those tires are only rated to carry so much weight. And so if you get that coach overloaded, you can have some problems. You can have a blowout or whatever, right? And so I would rather have a coach without slide outs, so I know I can put all my heavy camera gear in the basement storage areas, and I can load up with clothes and whatever I want, and I know there's absolutely no way I'm going to overload that puppy. If you get a riveted coach without slides, you can't overload that puppy. You can run it, you can fill your water tanks up, you can fill up all your stuff. I mean, you're going to be fine. You get a coach with 2 slide outs and you start really loading that puppy up, you could have some issues. Those slide outs are heavy, man. They add a lot of weight. That's Dan. That's Dan. So you want me to put you want me to put you on the air? You got something for the live broadcast?
No, I was going to tell you that the situation at the White House right now, the Secret Service just rushed in and got Trump out of there, and there's a video of I don't know what's going on. Some nutcase was attacking? He was doing his briefing.
Mm-hmm.
He was 4 minutes into it. He was escorted off the stage, and this is like 6 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching the Bloomberg live feed of the press conference, and they show people they got just a guy on the perimeter with a long rifle.
Okay.
But that could be normal. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I didn't mean to interrupt your show.
Oh, no worries. It's just a live television.
I'll let you know.
Carry on.
See ya.
Bye. That's my buddy that always calls during the show or right before the show. He said the White House, the president was involved, was doing a speech, and they hustled him off the thing. I guess some nutcase was trying to climb the place and attack or something. I don't know what was going on at the White House. So something just moments ago happening at the White House, just so you guys know. Let's see. Somebody just fired shots outside of Trump's I guess you're saying news conference. Megan's in the house. I'm trying, Tim. I always need Wi-Fi, and I can't, and it can be an ordeal. Let's see. Craig. Okay, Megan is early. They said Megan was early. Okay. Was the guy who did that to you the guy who did a video interview with you? Okay, Craig. What sort of? Okay. Was the guy who did that to you the guy who did a video interview with you on the channel? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Let's see. Megan, you're early. Craig, have you ever owned an Airstream? No, I haven't. They're kind of cool, but the frame underneath those is steel, and they will rust out. Whereas the Prevost, it's all stainless steel. Big difference. Let's see, Cheetown, have you heard of someone buying an older riveted body motor coach, gutting the inside and retrofitting it with new stuff? Oh my gosh, all the time people are doing all kinds of things to the coaches. I mean, it's not uncommon at all for a couple to buy a coach and the wife to want like all different colors and to want different kitchen cabinets, and you know how wives are, right? And so I was watching a video on one couple that got a Prevost, and they started with, I think they wanted to change the floors or something, right? That's all they were going to do is change the floors. And then they did the floors, and then she says, well, why don't we do this, and why don't we do that? And by the time they were done, they'd redone almost everything in the coach. Absolutely. You can spend whatever money you want to spend on them. It's like a boat. It's unlimited. You can spend whatever you want. For me, if I got a coach like the one I just showed you, I'd be tickled pink with that interior. I wouldn't be changing a damn thing. It'd be fine with me. That thing looks gorgeous. I'm not that picky. Let's see. He just left abruptly. Okay. When was the last year they made the riveted coach? I think the transition was around 1980, but it depends because sometimes converters will get the chassis and they'll have the chassis, for a year or two doing the conversion or whatever. And then I think they title it when they're done. I'm not sure, how that all works, but the transition happened somewhere around the year 2000. You can easily tell by just looking at the coach. It's going to have the rivets on the side. So it's easy to tell, right? You can see them. So, and also there was another transition around 1996. Around that year, I think 97, 98, they transitioned to independent suspension on the Prevost buses. Some people like the independent suspension. They say they drive nicer. Some people don't like it. It's more expensive to repair if there's a problem. Some people say it's not quite as robust. I think either are fine. I think that the independent suspension or the non-independent, I don't think either one is a real big rub. I mean, either way, you're going to want to have the coach checked out by Prevost before you buy it to make sure that all of that stuff is the way it needs to be, and they can check it out. But I don't think I would go for either. I would buy a non-independent suspension coach just as quick as I'd buy an independent suspension one. That would not be a determining factor for me. A determining factor for me would be the over-the-road air. I would want that. That would be high on my list of things I would want. Let's see here. Try for search. Nice GS you bought. What do you think? How is it in real life? Let's see. Mike says, I would pay Craig to check out a coach before I bought it. Well, you might want to get somebody that actually does surveys of those coaches, but I could give you some advice as to what you would want to have checked out. Absolutely. You could take it to a Prevost service center and have it checked out. I would make a sale contingent on that. I really would. If they weren't willing to do that, then I would say, hey, you must be hiding something here, folks. My neighbor had a blowout with his Beachman years ago. You'll see a lot of the RVs out there are all overloaded. They're almost overloaded from the factory. And then as soon as you start putting your clothes and stuff in, I mean, you see these big Class A motorhomes going down the road, these huge things. They have like little tiny tires on them and wheels, right? I mean, you know those suckers are overloaded, right? They're like overloaded from Jump Street, and they're like swaying all over the road and stuff. I mean, those things are dangerous as hell and total junk. I mean, like I said on the channel when we talked about this previously, I wouldn't have one of any of those on a bet. I wouldn't have any of those, quote, RVs. If they give it to me, I wouldn't accept it. Let's see. So yeah, any of those plastic RVs, I'd pass on all of them. That's your to answer your question. Sent a photo. Okay, what sort of towing capacity do these big Prevosts have? Enough to pull a pop-up? Oh my gosh, you can tow 10,000 pounds with them easily. Triforce Rich, I think the quality of the finishing is up there with watches that cost 3 to 4 times as much. I think the indices are the best finished I've seen. Triforce Rich, do Prevost buses have V8s or V10s? I think a Series 60 diesel is a V8, but don't quote me on that. That's a good question, but I would check it. I know it's not a V10. It's either a 6-cylinder diesel or it's a V8. It's a Series 60. Maybe you can Google it and tell us right now. It's a Series 60 Detroit diesel. Detroit diesel. Trashy Larry Carlos, when were you last tickled pink, buddy? Okay. Trevor's Rich, important thing to note about GS is that dials are much more subtle in real life than in macro pics. Try thanks. Let's not spread it wide. We want to keep it as a secret. Okay. All right, let me check this, and then we got to wrap this up. I got to eat. It's 6 minutes after 6, folks. It's 6 minutes after 6. Here is an ultra thin. This is a good-looking piece. This is a good-looking piece, I have to say. I have to say that's an attractive dress watch. But even in this picture, if you look, that dial looks kind of small to me. Now, it's on the far side of the picture, but it looks kind of small and dainty, a little bit weak. And so, yeah. But no, that's a very attractive watch. Of course, I would rather have a dress watch without the date because I don't want to fool with the date. You know, if I'm putting on my dress watch, I just want to be able to wind it, set the time, and go, right? I don't want to mess with the date. And, of course, if it doesn't have a deployant clasp, that would knock it out of the running, absolutely. But if that had a deployant clasp, it would be something to consider. I think the 002 trumps it, but it would certainly be something to consider. Your taste is improving, Lance. Your taste is improving. Let's see. I thought Beachmen were riveted from the 50s, Craig. You'll have to send me a picture of, and we won't have time to do it this show, next show. Send me a picture to look at, and I'll give you my assessment. But yeah, a commercial grade motor coach is the way to go. Kind of that's the way to go. And I would include Bluebird Wander Lodges in that category. I would include a Newell in that category. I would include a Prevost conversion in that category. Some other older bus conversions that they did back in the day would be in that category. So basically a commercial chassis. Let's see. If it keeps gaining steam, a problem because it was confirmed that they can't expand production. I'll take them 7 to 8 years to train new people. Yes, it's gonna. They can't really expand that much. They don't really even have that much room. Did you see how small that new building was that they built? It's not even that big. So you're not going to see Grand Seiko mass producing watches anytime soon. I'll put it that way. Let's see. I did see, check myself, there wasn't your model in store, but they look better than on any picture. Just searched up the Prevost 60 has a 12.7 liter turbo diesel V8. Yes, that makes sense. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Oh, the lovely Bree was in. I got to show her website. BreeFitDance.com. Even though she made a rather brief appearance, I have to say. But we'll show her website. Go there and follow her on social media. Make a donation if you want to help support her content creation. And there's even a link to her Patreon if you want to become a patron. G-Town says, Craig, do you do intermittent fasting? No, I don't. I eat consistently. I don't really see a benefit of fasting if you're eating healthy. And so, yeah. Now, sometimes I'll get busy, and so I might be out and about, and I might not eat for 8-10 hours, right? And I'll get back and I'll eat or whatever. So, I mean, I'll skip meals. But that's just because I'm busy and making things happen, and I don't want to go somewhere and eat some garbage just because I'm hungry, right? I'll wait till I get home and eat something decent. Corey's in the house. I've been 40 years for any answers for my questions. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And, hey, click subscribe. Click the thumbs up. Click the little bell. Do a whole lot of clicking. Do a whole lot of clicking around.